How many of you have or know someone who has a mental disorder such as depression, schizophrenia, ADHD, or dyslexia? And how many of you have ever taken the time to sit down and talk to them or another person about mental illness? In today's society, there's a great negative stigma linked to mental health, and it is having huge negative effects on the mentally ill. My group should choose my topic because, whether we like it or not, a huge portion of today's population is suffering from mental illness, and there needs to be a change in how our society views these disorders. In my speech, I will discuss why this stigma exists, the problem that it's causing, and how it can be fixed. Our culture views mental illness as something that is improper and should be hidden away. From a young age, we learn through examples from our teachers, other students, even the media around us, that mental illness is something negative and should be private and not talked about. According to Catherine Best, Christopher Robinson, and Vladimir Stouts of Ohio State, labels are an important part of a person's development. And they go on to state that the labels that we learn as a child stay with us even through adulthood. The Journal of European Psychiatry discusses how media bombards people on a daily basis with negative messages and labels about mental illness. And so all our lives we are shown through movies and newspapers about how mental illness is of villains in mental hospitals and just who are crazy. And it plants the idea that people with mental illness are evil or related to dark deeds. A good example of this is in a movie I'm guessing many of you have seen from our childhood, the live-action version of 101 Dalmatians. It shows Cruella de Vil in a mental hospital trying to get help for her mental disorder of wanting to kill puppies, which is a natural thing that everyone thinks is bad. So, because of this negative stigma, there are huge, severe effects towards people who have these mental health issues. My group should pick my topic because people with these mental illnesses are experiencing severe negative side effects from this stigma. There is such a strong stigma towards these mental illnesses that people with mental health issues are avoiding getting treatment to avoid being related to mental illnesses. According to a survey done by the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, out of the 35 states they surveyed, 40% of people admitted to experiencing some sort of mental illness. And out of that 40%, 53.4% did not get the help they needed. Adam Galinsky, Kurt Hugenberg, Carla Groom, and Galen Bodenhausen state in the Journal of Research on Managing Groups and Teams that when a society negatively labels a group and then puts people in that group, people within that group suffer from severe self-loathing and their self-esteem drops greatly. Negative stigma doesn't only affect how people view themselves, but also how others view them. According to David Whalen, BA, employers have admitted to being less likely to hire someone who is open about their mental illness, even if they're getting treatment and have it under control. And to top that off, if they find out that someone is hiding mental illness, even if they are treating it and are completely healthy, they are more likely to fire them for no reason. So this problem is affecting a huge amount of our population, and it needs to change. To fix this problem, my group would strive to remove the stigma that people today have in relation to mental illness. The Journal of European Psychiatry says that to diminish stigma of mental illness, there needs to be an increase of the public education about these disorders. It goes on to say that in areas where there are mental illness educational courses, there has been a proven reduction of the stigma. And also, this education will remove the us and them mentality that people tend to have. And this causes a isolation feeling from the people. This will reduce the isolation feeling that people get who have mental illnesses. When people become educated about mental illness, this will bring them to be able to talk about it more openly in public and make people with this mental illness feel like they are able to get help without being judged. In conclusion, negative stigma is instilled in all of us at a young age towards mental illness through these labels that we learn. This can have severe negative effects on a person with mental illnesses. However, we as a culture can counteract the effects by educating the public, removing the stigma that prevents people from publicly talking about it. My group should pick my topic because mental illness is something that affects everyone either directly or indirectly. And there needs to be a change in how we as a culture view these people with these disorders. We need to start treating these illnesses as like we would a physical illness. I mean, you wouldn't ostracize someone with diabetes just because they were sick. So why would you ostracize someone with a mental illness?